The prospect of shrinking down the Focus ST package, one that we love deeply, to the Fiesta platform is an intriguing one. In fact, it was such that we couldn't wait for the car to arrive in the US. Instead, we flew to the car's launch in France. Why? Europe's been this car's testbed. It's built in Germany. And, well, France is nice. Now, before we can start the review of the Fiesta ST, we have to give a caveat, and that is the car that I'm driving now, this two-door hatchback, won't be available in the United States. The only version we're getting is a four-door hatchback. The reason why we're not driving that is because we didn't want to wait until July when they'd be available. We wanted to drive it as soon as possible. But that actually brings up an interesting point, and that is the car that we're going to get in the US is going to be the exact same as the one in every other market. There's no European-specific four-door hatchback or a US-specific four-door hatchback. We're not getting a softer version. We're not getting a compromised version. It's just the same car. That's great. It's the start of hopefully a trend that will maintain throughout all Ford's new performance vehicles. Now let's get into whether shrinking down the ST package, the formula that works so well with the Focus, whether you can do that in the Fiesta. And what does that package entail? Well, it's a bunch of changes. We have new wheels and tires, we have disc brakes all around, we have new springs, dampers, there's a stiffer torsion beam to help with the rotation, all manner of adjustments. There's the engine. It's a 1.6 turbo, and it produces anywhere between, let's say, 170 odd horsepower and 197 horsepower. I say that because the engine has an overboost feature. It goes into overboost so frequently on the road that you never really are without the 200 or so horsepower. But if you're on a racetrack, that overboost feature will end after hard lapping for a bit, and then it'll come back. Now, what the overboost feature does is give you more boost. They go from, I think, a bar to 1.4, 1.45 bar, which is quite a bit out of a production car. You also have quite a lot of torque, and that range is 200 to 214 or so. And in this chassis, this lightweight car, it provides a nice sense of forward acceleration when you dip into the boost. You notice that it isn't as powerful as the Focus. It will be slower overall, but it has that same sense of urgency and energy when you get on the accelerator pedal. Now, it's down on power, but it also weighs about 500 to 600 pounds. I have to be vague with the specifics because the final specs haven't been authorized yet or put out yet. But this car should weigh about 2,700 pounds, whereas the Focus weighs about 3,200 pounds. So that means this is going to carry about a pound more per horsepower, which means it should be about a second slower to 60, let's say. Considering that we've gotten a high 5-second 0 to 60 time out of the Focus, that means this thing is pretty stout with regards to acceleration. But acceleration isn't the key part of the ST formula. It's a nice part. It's a very enjoyable thing when you're on the freeway and can pass people without having to downshift. But the crucial thing to the ST feeling is how it drives. The Focus is an amazing driver's car. It's nimble, it's precise, and it will put the tail out basically whenever you want it. It's all fine and good. This is the same thing. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised because this was designed by the same people who did the Focus, and it's just on a smaller package. In fact, Ford's saying the tuning on this is slightly more aggressive than the Focus. We haven't been able to wring out the chassis the last tenth on these public roads in France because, well, it's just not safe, but we're really eager to do that whenever this car comes to the United States. So what have we found on the road? Well, like the Focus, it has a very quick steering rack, something like just over 2 turns lock to lock. I think the steering ratio is in the 13 point something range, 13.2, 13.5 range. Really quick, not that great of a turning radius, which tends to be the case with great handling front drive cars. But it is a lot of fun. It is an Eve car. It's a car you can really push and lean on. And that's interesting to think about because when you look at the price and the performance, you realize this car has no real competitor. The Fiat 500 Abarth is kind of a disappointment in the performance area. The closest thing I think that comes to this is a Mini Cooper S, which is about the same size, same power, but costs a base price of about $24,000. And if you wanted to option that similarly as this is optioned with the Recaro seats and navigation, I think you're looking at quite a bit more. The most uncomfortable thing for this car, though, is the pricing of the Focus ST, which bases at about $24,000, $25,000. So if you put navigation, Recaro seats, and all this, you're edging right up to that price. Granted, you don't get any of that with the Focus, but still, it is interesting to think about. The Fiesta ST works well on France's roads, which shouldn't be surprising considering it was developed for this tight, narrow, and curvy asphalt. We're eager, though, to find out whether the US market four-door delivers the same enthusiasm to its driver.